Welcome to the Coop. It's a very special day here. We have Dr. Haver in the house. I have to laugh because we've interviewed so many A-list here. I work in entertainment, and the biggest response we've gotten so far to date is having you in the Coop. All of my girlfriends freaking out. We always start the Coop with one word to describe where you are in your life right now. Where would you say that is?
Driven.
Driven. But haven't you always been driven?
Always. That is like the number one word you ask anyone who knew me in college, in medical school, in residency, in most phases of my life. It is driven. And I used to take offense to it. Like I wasn't a gunner in medical school, but I just have been driven by this demon sometimes to go, go, go. And like my husband jokes, like, you're never going to get to the top of your mountain. Like, when are you ever going to slow down? And I'm like, I just don't know how.
Yeah. Well, and this turn that you've taken to become literally the guru of menopause, you are the face of it. If I ever mention the word menopause, your name comes up immediately.
That's just crazy to me.
And how did that happen? How did this turn take off?
So I hated menopause. I was, did my OBGYN residency, medical school, got 1 hour menopause lecture. I was like, ooh, old ladies, yuck. And then I went to my residency and I developed more compassion, but still it was something I was like, kind of internally rolled my eyes at and was like, ugh, the worst part of my job is going to be this. But I like to deliver babies and I want to do surgery and like be a part of the joyful things and the fun things. And like menopause is like a necessary evil. And then, I was young and cute and having babies.
But was it even taught that way?
No.
Or was it even talked about that way?
Yeah. In a 4-year curriculum. And let me say, I am super proud of everything I learned. Okay. Important stuff. But where the gap was I got in reproductive endocrinology, which I did my second year. We had 6 weeks of it. And once a week for 1 hour, we talked about menopause. So I had 6 hours of menopause education in a 4-year curriculum. We had no clinics, nothing, nothing like, here, we're going to go take care of our menopausal ladies today and just focus on them. That was not
6 hours for half the population, and every single woman will go through this.
More women will go through menopause than bear children.
Wow. And what do we attribute that to?
There's so many things. So forever in medicine, when you look historically, when you read It's All in Her Head by Elizabeth Cohen, when you read Unwell Woman by Eleanor Cleghorn, these are historical perspectives of how women have been treated in medicine, basically. Outside of our breast and uteruses and the ability to bear children, we were basically treated as small men with breast and ovaries. So like they did a study on heart disease. Well, we're just going to apply this to everyone. And women were excluded from medical studies until 1994.
just let that
because
sit.
They were worried about, what had happened years ago in the 70s was women were given thalidomide for nausea in pregnancy, which actually worked well, but it also caused some pretty horrific birth defects. So rather than taking a thoughtful approach and let's be more considerate when we're studying pregnant women, let's never study a pregnant woman again so we don't harm her fetus. So we kind of just freaked out and excluded women, or even if they could possibly be pregnant. So all women of reproductive age were excluded from studies so that we wouldn't potentially harm the fetus. And also, women who have menstrual cycles are harder to study because we cycle. Our hormones, we're not steady state, and it's hard and it's expensive. We don't even study female rats and mice in the labs.
Why?
Because they cycle.
This is baffling.
And it makes it harder. So, that kind of perspective. And then when you look at funding. Okay, so in 2023, now, this is 2025. We don't know what's going to happen with the NIH. So, but let's look at historically.
Yes.
In 2023, in a $45 billion budget of NIH funding, women's health got about $15 million. And that was mostly some breast and ovarian cancer, and pregnancy. Not how females have heart disease or how females have strokes because we disease differently. And then when you look at menopause, we got $15 million, 1.5. So that's 0.03%.
That sounds like 0.00003 to me, yeah.
Budget went to study the health of women after reproduction ends. That included the word menopause.
So when you're in school, medical school, going through this, are any of your girlfriends thinking this is weird? Or because we've been so conditioned, it's just, I'll take the 6 hours and
that's all I get. That's all I need.
That's all I need.
I graduated from my residency with the top board scores, top shelf exam, blew the top off of everything. I was a straight A student, blessed in that fashion. I studied hard, but it worked, right? I thought I was fine. I thought it was a great menopause. I thought I knew everything I needed. I checked every box and I, rolled up my diploma and went off into the world, opened up that first office, was ready for all the pregnant women to come see me. But like all these other women are coming in complaining about, the top 2 complaints of which I was a deer in the freaking headlights were their menopause outside of hot flashes and their libido.
Yeah.
I did not know what to do. So I would walk out to my bosses who were men at the time and men in their 50s and say, Miss Smith has a, and they would say, this is just what women go through.
Oh, it makes me so mad.
Tell her to have some wine. He'd pat me on the knee. Tell her to have some wine and relax. She'll be fine.
My mom, Bug, growing up in the South, I asked her, now that I'm going through menopause, I said, Mom, what did you do? And my mom's like, oh, honey, we were told we would not go to the whiny ward. So no one talked about it.
You know my whiny woman story?
No.
Okay. So, oh my God, the whiny ward. This is like a thing. Okay. So when I was an intern, my very first rotation was labor and delivery nights. I'll never forget this. You have to stay up all night, deliver babies. It's this wild, crazy, whatever. Next block was gynecology. And we spend half the time in clinic and half the time in the operating room. So clinic becomes a war zone. So we walk into clinic and there's 70 ladies sitting out in the waiting room of all ages, shapes, sizes, whatever. They're not pregnant, but there's everything else to do with not being pregnant. The upper levels is 4 years of us, right? So we have 4 years of training. So the upper levels run to grab the surgery charts. They want to operate, they want to get their numbers, and that's normal. The lower levels get whatever's left, vaginal discharge, itching. So the second years go grab the procedures. They want to do the biopsies and take out the polyps and, the fun procedural stuff. And that just leaves whatever else for us, the intern. So I go get my little chart. My upper level comes up to me and he says, what do you have? I open the chart. 40-ish, 40-something-year-old woman with multiple complaints. She's gaining some weight. She's a little bit depressed. She's not feeling good. And I think she landed with us because her cycles were a little bit off and maybe a little bit heavier. And, just this random bucket list, which I now know is perimenopause. But he looks at it, he goes, they check her thyroid. And I go, yeah, because she'd been referred to us, right? Yeah, her thyroid was normal. She was not anemic. They did some basic blood work. And he said, well, you got a whiny woman, a WW. WW is what he said.
What?
My Texas, cowboy boots, scrubs, long white coat. You got a WW. And I said, okay, what's that? And he said, don't write this in the chart, but it's a whiny woman.
What?
And he said, this is just what women go through at this age. Pat her on the knee, tell her she's going to be okay, get a couple more labs, make sure we're not missing. There's a lot of things that overlap that look like perimenopause. But he's like, we're not going to be able to help her.
WW. This is him telling a young female doctor.
I internalized that, okay? We were taught that women tend to somaticize their psychological symptoms. Most of it is in her head.
Please.
So I've shared that story across the country, and I've had docs come up to me from different areas. It's also called whiny gynies.
What?
Madame Dolores, like in places with a large Hispanic, and TBD, total body dolor. They would write little codes in the chart.
This is baffling to me, Dr. Haver. This wasn't that long ago either.
No, this was in the late 90s, early 2000s when I did my training.
So this is how you were brought up, and this is what was given to you. When did you make the pivot and think, wait a minute, there's a total disconnect. There's a whole need that is not being met.
I am so ashamed to say it was my own experience with menopause that really, that and my patients were kind of aging with me, so I was starting to see patterns. And these were women, Galveston's a small town with a big medical institution. We're bringing in a lot of women to our clinics and stuff from outlying areas, but I was taking care of the locals, right? And the people who worked in the hospital and the PhDs, it was a big academic institution. I know these women.
Yeah.
I know, these are smart, hardworking, telling me they're eating the right things, telling me they're working out, telling me their lives are falling apart, shit's in the fan. I'm starting to be like, okay. This is not whiny women. This is not a woman just looking to complain because she doesn't like her husband. This is like, she's not doing well.
Yeah.
What's going on? Everyone's complaining of something on this spectrum. And then it happened to me.
And when it happened to you, what did you do? Did you look in medical?
First, I gaslit myself for several months because my brother had just died. And right at the time when I had gotten off of birth control pills and was smack dab in the middle of late perimenopause. And so it took me a while to realize this isn't just grief. My sleep, my loss of sleep, my loss of my cognitive abilities, my rage, my snapping at the kids, my not having to do anything with my husband. This was more than just sad because my brother died, an untimely death. And when the grief fog started to lift and I was still having X, Y, and Z, and then I thought, girl, when was your last period? 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hot flashes. And pretty much if you're having hot flashes, that's menopause.
That's menopause.
At that age. And I was 48 and I'm like, I'm too young. I'm too young.
And as women, why do we do this thing? I'm sorry about your brother, by the way. Grief is a whole nother subject we dive in here in the Coop. But what women do, I think more than men, we tend to blame it on something. We tend to say, oh, it's the grief.
Mhm.
We'll never really listen to what's going on with our body
Right.
until now, where you've made it possible and stand up and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. So you went through that, you're feeling this. And then when did you start finding research to really start helping women?
Then what really, so it was vanity. It was my weight gain.
Yep.
It was the new, for someone who always had thin privilege.
We got to fight that FUPA.
Outside of pregnancy. And my patients had shook their bellies at me for years
And
at
you
their
were like-
well-woman exam. And they're like, girl, what is happening? I'm like, I know. This happens to everybody. I know. Work out more, eat less. And then it happened to me. And I was doubling, okay,
Yeah.
grief is gone. Get your shit together, Mary. I could hear my brother in my ear who had died. And he had this very unique personality. And he'd be like, girl, you cannot blame being fat on me anymore. And he's like, get your ass to the
That's right.
gym. And so I did. And I was doubling down at the gym. I was calorically restricting to dangerous levels.
Wow.
I did 900 calories for a
Wow.
while, because this has to work.
Yeah.
I have told patients this for years and years and years, and they keep swearing to me that they're not eating. And I'm like, girl, you have to be eating. Count those calories. You're underestimating what you're eating. They weren't.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't. I'd lose the weight and it'd come right back. Like all the tricks and the things I used to do stopped working. So then I got mad. My husband was leaving for one of his overseas trips. And I'm like, when you get back, you're going to have the wife you deserve. I'm going to be back. And he goes, Lord, your girls are watching. So the girls were like preteen teenagers. And he said, they're watching you. Look at what's coming out of your mouth. And he said, fix it. You're smart. You're a smart girl. You're a doctor. You can figure this out. And he left. So I did. So I called the PhD nutrition department. I said, what the hell is going on with menopause and me and all my patients? And they said, well, there's some new information about inflammation and anti-inflammatory nutrition. And it looks like menopause is causing inflammation. I'm like, what? I was like, menopause causes hot flashes. They're like, come look at these articles. So I just go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole. So what started out as a quest for me to fix my own weight gain in menopause, which I now know was a body composition change and not really just weight gain. And then my cholesterol went out of control, my brain fog. So I started deep diving into nutrition. I got certified in culinary medicine. So I was like really getting into menopause and nutrition. So I start talking about that on social media and the world explodes. People are DMing me out the wazoo
I was one of them.
about, could my frozen shoulder be related to menopause? What about my palpitations? So instead of me saying no, because I don't know, I'm like, let me look into it and get back with you. And my mind was blown. The new menopause,
The new
all
book.
that research was driven by people asking me questions on social media. Incredible, and that's where I learned, because when 10,000 women ask you about brain fog or about frozen shoulder or about palpitations or itchy ears or, some random symptom I had never known to associate with menopause, I paid attention.
It's just wild that you were the one that was curious enough to get the answers.
Let me say, there are other people who I
you're
call
the one we're
pioneers
listening to.
who
You're the
were
one that
doing
broke
the work.
through. Yes.
Jim Simon, Wendy Mack, Lauren Stryker, a laundry list of people, but they didn't have a microphone. They just didn't know how to utilize social media as a platform. They're learning now and they're amazing. But I was the right person at the right time. Like, I think I just was the first to really use social media as an educational tool in a way that was respectful and curious and not authoritative and turning people off. I mean, other people were out there talking on social media, but they're mean.
You were very relatable and you spoke in a way that I could understand what you were saying. So I felt very connected to you.
What you'll never hear me say is, I'm the fucking expert. Listen to me. I'm like, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe you instead of dismiss you. And let's go figure this out together.
Yeah.
That's what I say in my clinic.
So we were thinking today we wanted to get mad, which we've been doing, get educated, and then get hopeful. And part of the mad is relevant because of all my women friends, we all want to know, what can we do? Why aren't we covered by healthcare? All my friends with breast cancer are wondering, can they get on these hormones? Nobody wants to dry up, right? It's our time to be more vibrant than ever.
Right.
It is the number one topic that I talk about literally all day long as soon as I jump on the phone with my girlfriends. So where shall we start? Let's start with, what do we need to educate ourselves with right now?
Just the basics. I get the same questions over and over again. women are blown away when I talk about the average age of menopause is 51, but it's still normal between 45, 46 and 55. And perimenopause symptoms begin 7 to 10 years before that. And that there are estrogen receptors and testosterone receptors in almost every organ system in our body. There is nothing that is off the table. Your cholesterol, your vitamin D, your gut health, your microbiome, the way you build muscle, the way you deposit fat is all affected by your sex hormones. And when they go cattywampus and peri and disappear in post, you can't expect to go through this unscathed. You may have not realized that these things were connected. I mean, everybody knows about hot flashes, and that has become the poster child, the cliche symptom, but it is literally every part of your body. So educate yourself.
I love the word cattywampus. We're going to put that one in there. Cattywampus, you talk about all of the symptoms. And I think for my girlfriends, they don't know where to start. They don't know what to do when you start to feel this. Like, what should be the number one thing
So
you do?
I wish I could tell them, okay, when you get this laundry list, like we have a quiz on our website. That is the menopause quiz. And it's a validated quiz using the green scoring system, which was developed like in the 70s. Looking at, they don't even talk about hot flashes or your periods. It's like, are you having these symptoms and what is the severity? And it'll give you a score that says what the likelihood that these symptoms are related to your menopause. And women are shocked beyond all belief that their joint pain, their hair loss, their libido, their whatever could have been related to these hormone changes. And so then you educate yourself, then you go try to find a partner who's going to partner with you through the treatment process. And I wish you could walk into your OB-GYN's office or your family medicine or internal medicine and expect to have a reasonable conversation. But because we're not training and teaching the front line of doctors who take care of women, only 4% of women who are eligible are receiving FDA-approved hormone therapy. And that was last year's data.
That's crazy 4%. To me. So for me right now where I sit, I'm in it and I've done nothing. Like I'm your guinea pig here, right? So I don't even know where to do. So I called my OBGYN. She's like, well, I can't help you. You've got to go see a specialist. So I called a specialist.
At least she admitted.
She admitted it.
Like, I'm not your girl. No one taught me this. And I'm so fine with that.
I am, but how frustrating. We better get this fixed by the time our daughters need this. Yeah. And so then I'm thinking, okay, so then I called a specialist. They can't see me for 6 months and it's not covered by insurance and it's a bunch of money right out of the gate. And then you talk to your girlfriends and they're like, you get the pellets, the patches, the thing. I'm so overwhelmed.
It's very overwhelming. We have a lot of options for therapy, thank God, because not the same thing works for everyone. And it is a little bit of trial and error, unfortunately. So you need a good partner. So where would you look? Okay. You could go to the Menopause Society and at menopause.org, and they have a list of certified providers. So the Menopause Society kind of started rogue about 20 years ago because no one's doing menopause well. Let's make our own society and start writing papers and promoting research and, amazing. Then they started a certification program. So that's one place to start. It's not perfect, but, at least someone took the test and is trying, right? We have a resource on our website that is, we crowdsourced our followers, and we have thousands of testimonials of women who felt like they got great menopause care, and we've organized them by city and state worldwide. Okay. So that's another resource.
Checking that. Yeah.
There are some great online telemedicine companies. Some take insurance, some don't, that have been built specifically for menopause care. And I've vetted 3 of them. They do not pay me, but we have a menopause resource guide for free, 14-page PDF, how to find a doctor, what to ask, what labs to ask for, what is hormone therapy, what are your options, just to kind of give someone a basic starter kit with links to the medical journal articles you can print out and hand to your doctor.
Thank you.
Because these poor clinicians do not have time.
Yeah.
And it's impossible across the board. So we have so many hacks to try to help you. Find a doctor, find a clinician who will help you educate yourself so you're not kind of railroaded into one type of hormone therapy that happens to be profitable for that doctor, so that you can get a wide variety offered to you, which maybe your insurance will cover.
We have an insurance thing. It's crazy too, right? We're half the population. Everybody's going through this. It's not like only 1 in a million is going to get this.
Right. And most women are candidates, and it would be beneficial.
What about so many of my friends are breast cancer survivors, and there's that old myth out there that you cannot go on hormone replacement therapy.
History of breast cancer is a nuanced discussion, but is not, and let me repeat this, is not an absolute no. There are certain types. It depends on your stage, your grade, your receptor status. Now, everyone is a candidate for topical local estrogen therapy. Active cancer or not. You can use vaginal estrogen. You can use osfamine. You can use the DHEA suppositories, right? Those are all FDA approved. You should not let your vagina go to waste. Okay.
Did y'all hear that out there? I might have her repeat it. So for all my girls, I'm serious about this. So you can get the topical
There are
creams.
multiple guidelines out there. It is all clear. Just we're not putting them in front of the clinicians, especially the oncologists, to say, give that vagina some estrogen for God's sake. It does not absorb systemically. We're not going to feed whatever tumor cells might be left behind. So, and then after some breast cancer survivors, after therapy is over and they're clear, might be candidates. It's a nuanced discussion. But what's happening is, nope, you can't have it. You can't have it. You can't have it. And women's quality of life, especially our breasties, is suffering horribly.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard stories that would curl your toes. Massive oncologists, you know, from the big giant institutions looking at a woman begging for help with her sex life, who are told, use some coconut oil, get out of my office. If you ask me about estrogen again, I'll fire you. You know, like, where's the humanity?
Yes.
Where's the understanding? Where is the appreciation for this woman's quality of life? It's
especially
outrageous.
what you and I were talking about. We're just hitting our stride in our 50s.
Right.
You and I are talking about
I
how
am
our
leaning in
careers
hard. Listen,
taking off.
56, my best life.
Yes.
I am healthier, happier, wealthier.
Sexier.
I have better relationships, better boundaries.
Yes.
What I love about menopause, I ain't putting up with shit.
No, exactly.
I am like, oh no, honey, we are not doing this. I am not going to set myself on fire to keep your ass warm.
Yes.
I'm done.
So when I think about the women that suffered in silence, like we're just figuring out who we are. So now we need to be as vibrant in all areas as ever. And this is what you're helping
Had
with.
I not addressed my menopause, and I don't mean just slapping a hormone patch on.
Yeah.
I mean change my nutrition, the way I move my body, the way I go get therapy now, the way I focus on relationships, the way I prioritize. My sleep is my life.
Same.
You know? And if I choose to drink, I am choosing not to sleep that night. So
What is that?
We
This
don't
is not
know.
even, we don't even have to go down this path. But I had 2 drinks last night and wow, it knocked
3
me.
a.m. Holla.
Holla,
Wake up, baby.
holla at you, girl. It's the craziest thing.
And then you're up and you're like, and then I hurt her feelings and all the bad things I've ever done in my life. Girl,
your
I got
mind's
you.
racing. Even one glass of wine will do that to me now. Wow.
We are not processing, tolerating alcohol any way that we used to
No.
at this age. in
No, I
general.
prefer just not to do anymore. It's so funny. It's wild. And everybody's talking about that as well. Funny too, the patches. So it's just down in Atlanta and my girlfriend Peaches pulls down her running pants to show me her patch and it leaves a mark on you.
It can. So I have very fair skin. And
No, but it's like numbers or something. I was like, can we come up with a
depends
better
on the patch.
I
Mine
was like,
doesn't do anything.
Okay, all of these had like
If
numbers.
I go get a spray tan, yeah, I'll have a little brown, square there.
and
for
then
a few
3 other
weeks.
girls I was walking with pulled down their things to show me their patch. I'm like, this is hysterical.
Yeah, it's my drug of choice.
What about the testosterone cream?
I'm a big fan.
Did you bring some with you? I'm in dire need.
So I use the androgel, and most of my patients prefer the androgel.
What is
so
it-
it's
what
an
is it called?
FDA-approved formulation called androgel, and we use it off-label for women. It's approved for men, and it's a pea-sized amount. And the studies were done on the shoulder. Occasionally, I'll do mine here because I need to see the pea, and
Yeah.
I can't see over there. And I started it. It's got great indications. It's not FDA approved for women for anything. That's a problem. But we have beautiful studies showing how it helps with hypoactive sexual desire disorder, or what you would call low libido. So when we're talking about, woman's sexual health, she has to want to fix it, right? It has to be a problem. It's causing her distress. She doesn't have an arousal disorder. She doesn't have a pain disorder. She doesn't have a relationship disorder, because no amount of testosterone is going to fix that. And she had a good libido and she misses it.
Yeah.
Okay. She wants it back, misses that intimacy. And she can orgasm if she puts her mind to it. All that's working. Those are the women that testosterone can be really, really helpful for. And there's also 2 FDA-approved medications on the market. One releases melanocortin. It's an injection you give yourself like 45 minutes before, but a lot of patients are hesitant for that because you typically have a praying mantis on the other end of that clock who is like, is it working?
Hello.
Is it working? Is it working? So my patients are telling me improved stamina,
Yes.
improved muscle recovery, improved brain fog. It seems to have some other benefits. We need a lot more study here before I can say clearly, if someone comes in with low energy or brain fog, let's start with testosterone. We don't say that, right? But what I'm telling you is, like, when I give it for HSDD, patients are coming back and saying, wow, so many aspects of my life are better.
My
Placebo
girlfriend's,
effect, maybe.
yeah,
Viagra
maybe.
has a 40% of placebo effect. So there
Really?
you go. Yeah.
Yeah. I was playing pickleball and literally these 3 women, Harper and I were together, were saying they're like, they feel like teenagers again with this testosterone cream. And it's just what's lovely
So I
about
didn't feel
it
like that,
is
but
it's
it was just more interest,
it's just the
just a little more like,
conversation.
oh, this seems like a good idea
And you,
instead of, oh,
right? You're just a little more into it.
yeah.
I thought it was really fun. Okay. Let's get educated and debunk 3 myths about menopause. What would you say are the 3
Whew,
big ones?
that it has a shelf life. I mean, once you're menopausal, the effects of the ovarian failure, and I hate to it sounds terrible when our ovarian retirement affect us for the rest of our lives. Your bones deteriorate. Your genital urinary system deteriorates. It's 100% of women this will happen to, and this is not fixable. Like meaning it's not going to get better on its own. We're going to have to work at those areas in order to keep those tissues healthy of the bladder, the vagina, the vulva, and our bones and muscles. So a lot of women think that it's just hot flashes. That is a very small part of menopause, but it has been the poster child, and literally all of the money that went into study menopause went into the treatment of hot flashes. So menopause hormone therapy was developed to stop a hot flash and for nothing else. Turns out it will stop bone deterioration. People have better muscle strength. They have less incidence of insulin resistance. They have less diabetes. They have less cardiovascular disease if they start young enough. Like, it affects our entire bodies.
Well, you think about estrogen, what you're talking about, the number one thing that's keeping us cranking, and then it's gone,
And then
or
it's
it's
gone.
depleted, and then we
And
are
then we're
surprised
expected to live the
to
last
live-
30 years of our life without it. And look, you can raw dog menopause and you can be healthy and, good for you. But it's harder for most women, and most women's quality of life and their health span will improve with the use of hormone replacement
That's my favorite.
therapy.
You can raw dog menopause. You need that on a
You
t-shirt.
don't, but like, women aren't being given the option.
But
So
now
it's
we
not
have it.
like,
This is so
if you
great.
choose not to use hormone therapy, your body, your choice, and I 100% stand
Yes.
behind you. You're going to have to really, double down on your nutrition, your movement, your stress reduction, your sleeping. You should be doing that anyway, right? You can be healthy without it, but it's harder.
Yeah. God, it's so nice to have options. I want to go back and help our mom's generations when I think about this. Why is estrogen so important to our overall health?
Well, let's talk about our mom's generation.
Yeah.
Okay. So when my patients come to me, it's usually to put out the fire of menopause. Like, their life, they are debilitated because I don't take insurance. So I can spend an hour with my patients and not have an insurance company dictate what I can give her.
Thank you.
Right. So, but it's expensive, right, for most women. And so they are coming in like, help me, Jesus. I'm at the end of my rope. So we put out the fire. We get her back to functioning. She's not expecting to be 25 again.
No.
But we are stopping the brain fog, slowing down the deterioration of her ability to be resilient to the life she has created for herself. And so we give her back that. Okay. Now we're like, all right, tell me about your mom. What are the diseases plaguing her right now? When I tell you, it is frailty and dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And so women are living longer than men. I see the bro wellness and the saunas and the cold baths and all this shit. I'm like, any discussion of longevity for females without talking about the impact of the sex hormone loss is ridiculous. And guess what? We win. We live 4 to 5 years longer than men. We win, but 25% of that life is in poorer health than our male twins, right? Than our male counterparts. And it is a life where we have much longer periods of loss of independence. And that is what is scaring the hell out of my patients, and myself included. I have a mother with Alzheimer's who just fell and broke her hip from osteoporosis. And if she truly knew, she would jump off a roof, and end it. But here we are.
Yeah.
And the exact same thing happened to my grandmother. And my sister and I, who's 50, she's 3 years younger than me, are like,
It's not happening to us.
absolutely not. I mean, there's no guarantees, right? But what are the tools? What are the things that we can do? No one talked to our mothers about prolonging the life of their bones.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely a travesty. And hormone therapy can be a part of prevention.
Yeah.
It will 50% cut your risk of osteoporotic fracture.
What?
Yeah.
That alone.
That alone.
That alone right there.
It's FDA approved for the saving of your bones.
Wow.
And no one's talking about it. Did you go into your OB-GYN and talk about hormone therapy and her talk about osteoporosis prevention?
Nope.
Did they talk about dementia prevention?
Nope.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Because these are the diseases that are plaguing many of our elders. Did she talk about heart disease, chronic heart failure, how we disease differently than men, that maybe statins, when you break it down and you look at statin therapy for women versus men, taken all together, statins prevent heart attacks, but not for women, just for men.
Wow.
They lower your cholesterol, but we have different kinds of heart attacks. Men have the LAD, the widowmaker, the big vessels right coming out of the aorta that feed the heart muscle. Female cardiovascular disease tends to be diffuse microvascular disease. Okay. Lowering cholesterol with a statin doesn't seem to affect her risk of heart attack, primary heart attack. Secondary, yes. And so I talk about that. People go crazy and say, I'm telling women to stop their statins. I'm like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
I'm saying we need more research on how females develop heart disease and what works best for them, and not lumping the data together and having all the pharmaceutical companies say everybody needs a statin.
It's crazy how the medical field can get ahead of it, because back to the breast cancer, all of my girlfriends that are survivors are like, oh, I can't do it because of that wonky study way back when that caught wind that you couldn't go on.
Scare the hell out of everyone.
Scare the hell of
included.
everybody. So what was it with that study? Just so all of my girlfriends, they begged me to ask this question.
The Women's Health Initiative data was developed. So before the WHI, 40% of women were on hormone therapy. It was recommended by the American College of Physicians, preventative for heart disease and all these things. Everyone should be on it. So about 40% of women were on it who were postmenopause. And the average age of women starting it was about 51. Those women had lower risk of cardiovascular disease, but that's not proof. Proof is a randomized control study. So is this really going to prevent a heart attack? So the average age in the study was 63. They excluded women with hot flashes. So these were women who were minimally symptomatic, and the average age was 63. We had younger, we had older. They were putting women on their 70s on hormone therapy, and then they were measuring who had a heart attack. You were well on your way to a heart attack at 63 if you're going to have one.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
And so what we've learned, it did not help with heart disease. And then they saw what they thought, that women who were on the estrogen plus progestogen arm of Provera seemed to have an increased risk of breast cancer. It was like 4 out of 1,000. Okay. It was such a small. But when you look at absolute risk versus relative risk, the absolute risk was so small, but the relative risk looked huge, but it never reached statistical significance. Women who were on estrogen only had a 30% decreased relative risk. So it was the progestin.
And then for the study to take off like that.
But they went on national TV.
Yeah.
They called a press conference. So there were tens of thousands of women, but 4 dudes locked themselves in a room, decided and said, look, here's the paper we're going to present. Look at it. You have 10 minutes. They accepted no changes. They didn't hear any arguments. They went to the Watergate Hotel. They called a press conference and they said, estrogen causes breast cancer.
I mean, that's just
And that was the end.
That was the end. But it's crazy that still today I have very smart girlfriends who are like, oh, I can't go on it. I'm like, nope. Dr. Haver's here. You can, or get educated on it.
Maybe. If you've had breast cancer, you should not be automatically excluded. You absolutely can have vaginal estrogen or the intrarosa. Like, don't let them take your vagina for granted.
Thank you. What are the other big myths that you hear?
Oh, if you've had a blood clot, you can't ever use hormone therapy. You should avoid oral estrogen if you've had a blood clot or you're high risk for a blood clot. But you absolutely can do a transdermal estrogen product without increasing your baseline risk. Your risk is still increased because of your family history or your genetics or whatever. But we're not going to make that worse by giving you a non-oral estrogen formulation.
Any other big myths?
That it ends. You know, that there's a certain window of opportunity. There is no age at which you must stop hormone therapy.
Oh, well, I think you're saying there's no end to menopause. There's no end. You can stay on this for as long as you want.
For some women, if the benefits outweigh the risk, she doesn't develop absolute contraindication and she wants to keep going. I might die with an estradiol patch on.
Listen, we're right there with you. We're going to be 115. We're going to go out in style.
I'm going out with a moist vagina, that's for sure.
Take me with you. On that note, is it ever too late to start then? It's not.
So that's a more nuanced discussion. So we have this like window of opportunity for cardiovascular, what seems to be cardiovascular prevention, and why the U.S. Preventative Task Force is saying absolutely not. We're not going to list estrogen as a preventative therapy. That is a problem with medicine.
Okay.
With our institutions. That is not looking at the data carefully. Circulation Magazine published this, looking at the WHI data when they age stratified, and the younger women, the women who actually start hormone therapy at the usual time, do see cardiovascular prevention. 50% decreased risk year for year versus women who don't take it.
Awesome.
Estrogen is incredibly protective of our vascular system. It keeps the vessels elastic. It doesn't allow them to stiffen, which is why blood pressure goes up postmenopause. It keeps the clots from forming, the plaques, and it keeps it slows down that process. That process is a natural aging process, and menopause speeds it up dramatically for females unless she's on hormone therapy.
Wow. All these benefits. Okay. I love this.
So what if she's 65 and she's still having hot flashes and she's just miserable? She comes in, and so we go through the risk benefits. We do a full, cardiovascular risk work workup because American College of Cardiology has some parameters. We might order a calcium cardiac score, but we're going to give her a chance.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no. That is not my job, is to gatekeep hormone therapy. My job is to weigh the risks and the benefits for her and let her make her own fucking decision.
Well, and to educate other people. I think for all of us, what I'm learning on this end is to educate myself. No, we got to get angry and get mad. We got to educate ourselves to keep pushing forward to get it.
And when I think of the things that came out of my mouth in my first 20 years of practice,
like what?
How dare I? My God, who did I think I was?
That was going to ask you if you could go back and tell your 35-year-old self one thing about
Pick
menopause.
up some fucking weights. Stop doing cardio all the time. Eat some goddamn protein and stop dieting.
By the way, I just got your weight vest. Can we discuss this?
Yes.
So my new thing is weights, because I do love cardio. Like I just love being outside, but we got to check those bones. We got to start lifting weights.
Girl, protect your bones.
Yep.
Weighted vest.
Yeah.
Huge fan.
How to reclaim your power during this stage in our life? What would you say the number one thing?
This is the best part of your life. And I just see women sidelined. I see 1 in 5 in the UK quit their jobs in menopause and perimenopause.
Is that a
1 in
crazy
10
stat?
at least in the US. The economic impact of this, of women leaving the workforce when they should be leaning all the way in.
Yes.
You know, the kids are out of the house, they're ready, and then we get hamstrung by, a natural process that no one's addressing. It's outrageous.
What do you say to anybody listening that's feeling defeated right now?
Don't. This is a wonderful time of my life. I've never been happier. But we have to rethink the way we do things. It's a toolkit. It's not a quick fix. There's not a one and done here. It is having to reshape our lives so that we can live these next 30, 40 years as gloriously as possible.
Where are you on the food? What are you doing food, exercise right now?
Different. Yeah. So I'm prioritizing protein and plants instead of counting calories. I don't count calories. It's the coolest thing ever. I am focusing on fiber. So like if I track anything, it's how many grams of protein and how much fiber.
Do you do that magnesium? Are you big on that?
Per day. I love magnesium. I eat a lot of pumpkin seeds. I have a little pack in my bag somewhere over there. I'm taking magnesium supplement I love that mag-L-threonate. It really is helping with some of my mental health stuff. And for sleep, I'm using L-theanine.
What's that?
So love that. So yeah, that's a Dr. Stacey Sims tip. So
I want that.
It's a non-sedating anti-anxiety kind of thing. So without giving you a sedative. So I sell supplements. So, my patients were coming in
thank you for doing that.
bags and buckets of all this stuff. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm looking and there's all these additives and preservatives and I don't know who's testing it. And I'm like sitting there like, I think I can do this better.
Yeah.
I think my patients deserve better than this.
You're the perfect one to be doing this because you know exactly what you need.
I don't sell menopause cures. There's no supplement that is going to resuscitate a dead ovary. Sorry, that doesn't exist. Okay. But we are having nutritional deficiencies in this country. We are not getting enough fiber. Almost all of us are deficient in vitamin D for multiple reasons. And so I developed my supplement line to help the gaps where women are struggling so that we can optimize nutrition so then the rest of their body can work better.
I was sorry to hear about your mom with dementia, but what would she think about all this? I was thinking about.
Well, she had a good day today.
She did.
Her birthday's tomorrow. So I called her and I got good mom. You never know. It's kind of like a box of chocolates where her brain is. But she was like, where are you? And I was like, Mom, I'm in California working about that book, right? Everybody's telling me you're famous. And I'm like, oh, Mom. And then she's like, I'm the mama. I'm the mama. I'm the mama. So her proudest day was when I was on the cover of Women's World.
Yes.
And so I have a picture of Mom holding up the magazine. When I had made it in the grocery store, I had made it.
That's
we're from South Louisiana. She was showing everybody in the nursing home, so that was a big day. She has it like pinned on the wall of the nursing home.
What do your daughters think about this?
They kind of grew up with it. Mama was just a normal, regular, basic doctor, mom, all the things. And like they've kind of, since high school, college, like watched this star rise. And I guess you'd have to ask them.
I just think what you're doing with all this, again, how great that their menopause journey will be so different than ours.
They're not going to take it for granted. That's for sure.
Nope.
And Mom was the town gynecologist. So my kids were like not going to get pregnant. My kids got their HPV vaccine, like they were not going to get cervical cancer but it's cute because their friends' moms are now menopausal and like we're seeing all this synergy and I'm getting questions or can you sign this book for my mom with my daughter's college friends? It's really fun.
And then we were talking before we went on the podcast, you're now working with your husband. You've been together how many years?
30. Well, we got together in 93, married in 96. So I've lost track of the math. It's a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
A long time. Did you meet him in medical school?
No, so before med school, so I was a geologist. Well, I was doing oil and gas. So, and he was an oil and gas engineer, and we met at the coffee bar. Like
He's
he was coming in to do a project in Louisiana, and I literally met him at the coffee bar, and I was like, who's that? And we started flirting and went out for dinner one night, and that was it. I was done.
And I love where you are in your relationship.
And I was like,
now.
I think I want to go to medical school. And he was like, that sounds cool. He didn't know we had to pay for it. But yeah.
He knew what was coming next.
Yeah. So we were together all of medical school. We got married in my third year, but we didn't live together. We did it backwards. We like dated, got married, and we didn't move in for a full year because we were in different cities, you know, with school and work. And then we ended up, I matched in my top choice residency in Galveston, Texas, which is where we live now. And he commuted up to Houston for his job.
How perfect. And now he's helping you.
Yeah. So
with
he
the business.
met that, you know, magic rule of 90, if anybody knows, you know, all these retirement rules. So the minute he hit it, you know, he was already kind of putting a toe in the water, helping me because things were like crazy expanding because we have so many business lines now. And I was just over my head with contracts and lawyers and negotiations. And so he kind of stepped in to be helpful and then really was loving it. He has an MBA. And so when he was contemplating retiring, I'm like, look, if you like go back full time, I'm going to have to hire someone to do what you're doing and pay them your salary. And he was like, oh, since you put it that way. And now he is like rocking, socking, running. It's so cute because like he works out of the kitchen, living room area, and I work out of the office, and I can hear him on calls, and it's just like freaking hot. You know?
How cool is that?
Watching him because I've never seen him work before.
No.
And now we're working together, and we actually get along better.
I think that is the coolest. What a great back nine for you. Like what you've cultivated, especially with your relationship, that's super cool.
So yeah,
that is hot.
It's really worked out. I know we're lucky. You know, not everybody gets that.
Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. It's working nicely. All right, let's get random, Dr. Haver. Here we go. Any funny or unexpected stories from your own menopause journey?
Oh my God.
Share the wildest one.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this whole journey has been nuts, you know, hot flashes in weird places, like in the operating room and, you know, absolutely feeling like I was going to faint and like sweat dripping down my breasts between, you know, while I'm in a gown and all these layers and I can't get out of it, you know, feeling like I was going to die. Some pretty good rage stories. And my daughter saying, yes. So you going through perimenopause while I was a teenager was really hard, right? Like
we're in this together, right?
We're both apologizing. She's 24 now. Like, sorry, you know, it's all good now. We're good. Okay.
What is in your bedside drawer?
Oh my God. Okay. I used to just throw my head down. I mean, I had a funny video about this on social, but I used to just lay down and go to bed at the end, right? Now it's like my L-theanine, my progesterone. I take a little extra estrogen. I have some backup meds in case I wake up in the middle of the night. I've got my water. I have some extra electrolytes. You know, I have the fan. I have, you know, we're contemplating getting one of those sleep 8 beds with the cooling stuff running through. Like we have different body temperatures now. And a stack of books, you know, which I don't read. They're just decorations. And because I just surf the phone on the internet because I shouldn't be doing that, but I can't. It's work.
It's just so addicting because you get in bed at night. It's just that one last scroll.
Let me just see how that video did.
Yeah.
You know? So
my mom, by the way, is so cute. I posted a picture of my parents when they were married today, and her name is Bug, and she'd be like, "Honey, read the comments. What do they say?" And she loves that.
Oh
That's
my
her
God.
thing.
Where are you from?
Atlanta originally. Okay. So it's so funny. Yeah, let's just see how that post did. She loves it. What's the deal with lube? Any suggestions?
Absolutely. And every time, every intimate encounter. So you want to do an oil or silicone-based lubricant. You really don't want to do water-based. So not like a plain KY. It evaporates and, you know, things take a little bit longer these days. And so you want it there working for as long as possible. So we need something more slippery. And I tell my patients, I don't care if you're, you know, what shape your vagina is in. You should be using a lubricant with every intimate encounter. It's fun too. Yeah. And then there's moisturizers, which are different than lubricants. So lubricants are like slip and slide and to reduce friction, right? Moisturizers, a lot of women struggle. Like when I hike in shorts, you know, things chafe, right? My anatomy is not the same. Things have shifted in the area. And so I can't like take for granted that a long hike in shorts is not going to be disruptive. So I'll use a moisturizer in that case that kind of holds hyaluronic acid, holds like 100, 1,000 times, whatever it is, like a lot of water. So it'll keep things kind of moist in the area. So I'm not like dry and chafy.
Did you hear that, ladies? Double up on that. Oh, I love this one. If menopause had a positive rebrand, what can we call it?
Oh my God, Oh God, that's a good one.
Let's come, guys. We got to come up with a good one.
I mean, you know, I live in the Menoverse. My friends are the Menopause. You know, we're always putting Meno in front of everything. My Meno
Meno
power,
fabulous. Meno, we got to change
Meno
it,
strong,
right?
Meno fabulous.
Strong. Oh
but
yeah. Meno vibrant.
Don't
Meno
get into
war.
a Meno war.
Meno war.
Yeah, there's, you know, not everyone is a fan of Mary Claire. And so sometimes I write essays and then I just send them to my friends. And they're like, don't post that. But you can share that here, but don't post it. You don't want to start a Meno war.
I think you do. I like you. We got
shots fired. Sometimes I'll be like, shots fired. They're like, no.
We're good. Keep firing those
You're
shots.
Glenda the Good Witch.
We need you. What should every menopausal woman keep in their purse for emergencies?
Oh my God. Kleenex. Dry those tears, baby. It's going to get better.
It's going to get better. There's
And
hope.
lube.
Get the lube. There's hope.
And an extra HRT patch.
I cannot wait for the patch. If you could assign one emoji to describe menopause, what would it be?
God, a thumbs up.
Thumbs
I
up.
love it. You know, I love this part of my life. I'm so freaking happy and I can't wait for the next 30 years. No stress on my children. I want grandbabies.
Yes.
I want vacations with them. Literally, that's all I think about is like when I think about the future is like my family.
Yeah.
And like enjoying this life that I've built. And, you know, if they have children. So Chris and I are like, all right, we have a window before the grandbabies may or may not come. So let's go travel everywhere. Let's go do all the things. Let's go like kick it up because once the kids come, we're probably going to want to be
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I love the thumbs up. That is so hopeful, and every woman needs to hear that, right? Like, this is why we started this
There's
podcast.
a reason. Okay, so I had a patient come in, and the first thing I always ask a patient is, how can I be of service to you today? I've already read through their stuff. We do a full history before they get there. You know, I have their body scan. I have all their blood work. I know what we're doing, you know, but I need to let them unpack all their stuff. So I'm like, how can I be of service to you? And she plops down. She says, Dr. Haver, I deserve to feel amazing. Amazing, not just good. I want to feel amazing. And I said, yeah, you do.
Mhm.
Let's do it. Let's go there.
God, I love that.
Like you deserve, not just to like make it and survive. You deserve to be fucking kicking ass right
Yes.
now.
We talk about it all the time, especially where we are for a lot of us becoming empty nesters, right? We've raised our babies, we've dedicated our bodies, if we're lucky enough, have gone through all of that.
Mhm.
And now it's our time and we don't have to suffer in silence.
Right.
Thumbs up, everybody. Final question in the coop, Dr. Haver. What turned you on?
Man, happy patients.
Yeah.
You know, seeing people's lives change, seeing people who were in that bad place where they weren't thriving, and then them sharing and them becoming the people they were meant to be and that they were on the track to be, but menopause took that away from them. It's not everyone, but, you know, really seeing the lives that we can touch and change.
And what are you manifesting next? Did you see this path for you?
So, no, maybe a little.
Yeah, I
Maybe
bet
a
you did.
little. Maybe I haven't thought about it. You know, like my therapist, one of the things she's like is like, you know, what's your 1-year plan, your 5-year plan? And I said, if I would have put this down a year or 5 years ago, I would have undersold myself. So I'm hesitant to like put something down and it's way lower than what I deserve.
Why would you have undersold
And she
yourself?
said, you just keep doing what you're doing and it is in God. It is whatever God's plan for you is going to be, it's going to be.
But why back then would you have undersold yourself? do you
Because
think?
I just could never have imagined writing a book that would be a #1 New York Times bestseller, that would change so many lives, that would change a conversation, that me being silly on social media would touch so many lives and change, you know, how the millions of followers, the millions of emails, you know, just this incredible network, this team that we've built. I'm pointing over at my team.
Cute team.
You know, this, you know, all of these lives that we're changing for the better. I never would have thought.
So if there was one thing, though, manifesting, so we've got all this, it's
That our daughters, it's not a big deal
at all.
at all.
At all. And every doctor
They
you
got
roll into,
this. Every doctor you
they've
walk into,
studied
yeah,
it, they've
girl, this
covered
is
it.
your menopause.
Mhm.
Let's talk about your options. What do you want to
let's
do?
talk about your bones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's talk about your brain. Let's talk about your bones. How are we going to keep those healthy as we get our, let's talk about your heart.
Yep.
You know, how are we going to do this? What do you want to do?
Gosh,
What do
that'd
you
be
wanna do?
great. What's your mom's name?
Mary Marguerite, but we call her Moggy. Moggy
Moggy?
is her. Yeah, there were so many Marys. There were like 12 in her class because Catholic, French,
Yes.
Louisiana. And so they all went by their middle names, and Marguerite was long. So Moggy.
Well, Moggy, if you happen to be
Happy
listening,
birthday.
happy birthday. We love you, Moggy. We hope you're having a great day. And you should be
88.
so proud of your daughter. 88 and feeling great,
She's gonna
Moggy.
die if she
I
hears
love this.
So.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for all that you're doing for all of us. Keep kicking ass, and we'll keep doing whatever you are putting out there for us to do. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, Harper, raw dog menopause.
Who knew? I've heard about this said term before, never within the context of menopause.
I love how she said we don't have to gut it out anymore. Like that alone was just so refreshing. I feel like I learned so much in this interview.
So much. What did you learn?
I learned, first of all, that you got to step up for yourself. Like you got to want it and then go get it. And hopefully if we do it all right, our daughters won't have to do this same path. We're kind of in it for fighting it. But I got it. You can be vibrant, ladies. It's time to kick up your heels and get busy in every aspect of your life. When I asked her the one emoji to describe menopause, she did thumbs up.
I love that.
That's where I want to live. That's what I like to hear.
Awesome. And her patient that she spoke about who said, I want to feel amazing.
Amazing.
I deserve to feel amazing. Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you and I have spoken about all of our symptoms. And honestly, we might be some of the too few people right now of our friend group who are both not doing anything. Now, it's not that we're not healthy. It's not that we don't eat well. And it's not that we don't exercise. In our lifestyles, we're doing the things. But in the hormone replacement therapy arena, you and I are both not participating. And I've literally come out of this conversation that the two of you had. And I, like her, I want to be driven and I want to go take action.
Yeah. Harper, we talk about this with all of our friend group. We deserve to feel amazing. For most of us, we wanted children. We were lucky enough to have kids. A lot of them are flying the coop. So now it's our time. So to have this time that now is to dedicate it to yourself and what you want for your life, it's time to start feeling good. And the fact that estrogen is what makes your body, what everything work, and now it's gone, you need to put it back in. It's sort of simple if you look at it like that.
So not only is Dr. Haver the poster child for just menopause care and women taking care of themselves in general, but she's also the poster child of how she's taking care of herself. I mean, she has never felt more amazing than she does right now. I mean, I don't need more inspiration than that to see how vibrant she is, how freaking smart she is, how clear she is about what she needs to be doing every single day in order to feel amazing. And how any of us would not follow in her footsteps is hard to imagine.
The other thing that's so cool, and we do a lot of these stories on our podcast, her life was going one way, Harper, right? She's in med school. She's got this great husband, these kids, OBGYNing, she's doing that. But then through TikTok, through everything, took this turn, and she's now become like the menopause guru. She never expected this life that has come, this quick right turn. And that's what I get so excited about in life. And ladies, I think she said she was 56. So like whatever you're dreaming about, whatever your passion, she's a perfect example that one right turn can make a huge difference.
So she went through, and I was trying to scribble it all down when you guys were talking, but luckily she has so much on her website, not just in her book, The New Menopause, but on her website, she was talking about the quiz. She was talking about providers. She was talking about all the ways that women can take action to take control of the health of their lives for the longevity of their lives, because we do live longer than men.
Yes.
And we shouldn't live in poorer health. We should be living in the most glorious, healthy ways that we can.
And I was so educated with, we laugh about our hot flashes or this or that, but really it's about your bones and your overall well-being and how all of this stuff, getting educated, what could work for your body, it benefits so many factors of your health, not just one thing. By the way, I called the doctor that you gave me. There's like one doctor where we live that everybody's talking about. It takes forever to get in. So it's going. So we will report back to our Coop listeners about my patch,
For
what
sure.
we're doing.
Not letting your vagina go to waste.
No. Oh, what did she say that was so funny? She's like, we're talking about living a long time. She's like, and I'm going to have, I hate the word, but I'm going to have a moist vagina.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. Sorry, but wet. Did you say wet? Okay. Oh God. I think I added the M word.
Wow. Which is like a lot because you don't like that word.
I don't like
Actually,
that word.
none of us like that word, but it's a visual reference and it's helpful, but we all deserve that too.
Yes, we do.
We know we need to lube up every time.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was interesting.
And moisturizer?
Moisturizer just for your hikes.
I did not know about that.
Who knew that? Wonder what
She
it's
does.
called. Yeah. Yeah.
She knows it all.
She knows it all.
She knows it all. Well, that was incredible.
I can't wait to double back to the new menopause book that she wrote and just follow her and take any of her tips. I got the weighted vest. She's rocking one of those. She definitely said more weights for everybody.
Okay. But here was the one that was kind of tricky. The alcohol sleep situation.
Yes.
She has talked about this a lot. She talks about this on her social media. That's hard. I mean, meaning it's sometimes we all go out with girlfriends and we want to have a glass of wine. And it is that sort of moment of, am I going to have the glass of wine and know that I'm going to be awake at 3 a.m.? Those are the tough decisions,
They
ladies.
really are. And I don't know what it is that has changed in our body that now for me, Harper, one glass and I'm up at 3 a.m. It happens every
Well,
time.
it's-
and it's hard to have the one glass. glass because one glass says, just have the second.
Why? It's so pretty.
It's so pretty. It looks so nice right there.
Your friends are getting them.
It just is calling you.
It's like we're teenagers.
We are.
Our
Going
body's
out-
telling us, though.
Our body's telling us. And by
body's
the way,
telling us.
she's similar to me too. Sleep. You know how I feel about my sleep,
know.
Harper. I get 8 hours every night effortlessly. Well, not really, but effortlessly. But I do get the 8 hours. It's so important.
It is so important. It's really hard. I mean, it's for me, sleep does not come easily.
Harper does not sleep easily. I am just lights out. We're
And
gonna work
I
on
was
that.
laughing what she was talking about when she was like, and then you wake up and then you think about all the things that either happened that day or what you wish you would have done or what you said or whatever it might be. And yep, that's all true for me too. But I attribute it to menopause.
Yes,
So
it's all menopause.
we're going to check those boxes on those replacement therapies and have all those worries go away.
Coop listeners, send us your questions you have with that. We can get more answers from her. I hope y'all enjoyed that. Harper and I were just glued to listening to this interview. So don't forget to follow us on the Coop, and we'll see you next time.